so great to have you back on the podcast, Steve. You were somebody I like to get on regularly because you sort of have your finger on the pulse in Washington, D.C., what's going on with some of the legislation that's in flux right now, the congressional hearings that we're hearing rumblings about. So there's two things I want you to update me and my audience about. One is the UAPDA, and the other one is the upcoming congressional hearings. So I wonder if you could start off and just tell everybody briefly who may not know, what is the UAPDA and what are the chances that this could actually get signed into the National Defense Authorization Act in December?
UAPDA is the UAP Disclosure Act, which is the name given to it by Senator Schumer and Mike Rounds when they introduced it 2.5 years ago. And which is amazing that they called it that. Put disclosure right in there. Most people know what disclosure is. It's not like the UAP, we're going to reveal some stuff act. It's the UAP Disclosure Act. And enough people, I think, are starting to understand what is meant by disclosure. It's not just, let's reveal stuff, but rather, let's confirm the ET presence. That's the capital D term that I came up with nearly 20 years ago. And that's very good. They introduced it. It was a big deal. There was huge pushback. It was cut in half, but it was passed. But then the exact same bill was reintroduced the second year, 2024,
right?
As is, but as an amendment that got blocked, because as an amendment, it was blockable based on certain rules in the Senate and so forth. And so they withdrew it. They've just announced they're respinning again, and they have. It's been sent to the Senate. I don't believe there's been a vote, but I'm sure there's going to be a vote on it when it comes back, when they come back in September, and it will pass.
Hey guys, if you've been watching this podcast for a while, then you already know. I'm absolutely fascinated by the crop circle phenomenon. It's one of those mysteries that keeps pulling me in deeper the more I explore it. That's why I'm really excited about a collaboration between shapesofwisdom.com and Curious Dimension podcast. Shapes of Wisdom is a sanctuary for seekers of ancient knowledge and sacred symbolism. They've curated an inspiring collection of sacred geometry and esoteric art that aligns beautifully with the themes we often explore here on Curious Dimension. On their website, shapesofwisdom.com, you'll find thousands of different crop circle designs. Yes, thousands. Available on posters, t-shirts, jewelry, even coloring books. Whether you're into meditative art, symbolic meaning, or just want to surround yourself with something a little otherworldly, it's an amazing resource. Shapes of Wisdom and Curious Dimension have come up with 4 different t-shirt designs that invite you to explore the unknown and wear your curiosity proudly. And as a special thank you to our listeners, you can get 15% off your Curious Dimension t-shirts and Shapes of Wisdom apparel clothing purchases by using the promo code Curious1 at checkout. That's CURIOUS1 at checkout. Plus, if you're into digital art or want access to some of the most stunning crop circle visuals, use promo code Curious2 for 40% off the crop circle collections and big picture digital files available through the Curious Dimension link on shapesofwisdom.com. I'll drop all the links and codes in the description below so you don't miss a thing. So if you're drawn to sacred geometry, ancient symbols, or just want to wear your curiosity, go check them out. Again, that's shapesofwisdom.com. Now let's dive back into today's episode.
They're trying to find co-sponsors in the House. Congressman Burleson has indicated he's happy to co-sponsor it. So this time around, it's going to be a little more robust, and it might get, ultimately what they want is a vote. They might actually get a vote on it as is in the House. We'll see. But all of this shows the consistency and persistency of certainly the Senate side on this, but also plenty is happening on the House side. So in its wild and crazy way, which is the way Washington works, this issue keeps marching forward towards resolution. So that's the situation on the UAP Disclosure Act. You're not going to know more until they come back in session on September the 2nd, but there will be developments right away. All right. And see, what was the other issue you want to focus on?
So we can get to the congressional hearings here in a second. Just one thing I want to just clarify. The UAP Disclosure Act is about 65 pages of legislation, and true or false, they use the terminology non-human intelligence and craft of unknown origin several times throughout it. There's no mistaking what they're talking about here. This is...
Yeah, you can go find the original bill. I actually have links on my website I can highlight them. You can find the original bill. You can easily find the bill that was eventually passed and so forth. You can go back and review all of this. It's part of there's nothing unusual about a complex legislative process. Just look at the effort they put in just to pass the budget. But again, it's the process. It's in this issue and the revelations of the information behind this issue is fully in play in the Congress. But now it's been taken to another level. There has been some recent developments that are extremely significant and interesting. And it's straightforward. In just a short amount of time, I think it may be, 10 days. Here's what has happened. And trust me, this has never happened before. Not even close to this. In the last 10 days, the vice president of the United States goes on a safe podcast. That's the way things go now. Read the room, see how people react, and mentions several things, including that he's obsessed with UFOs. This is the vice president. All right. And a few other things. There's a little bit of light laughter, but you just don't do that. Can you imagine Al Gore doing that? Pick another vice president. That happens. Generates a lot of media, all of which is on my print media archive at paradigmresearchgroup.org. Just go to projects ongoing. Links to all of those articles, a lot of. Only 2 days later, the director of national intelligence, a fairly important job, to say the least, goes on another podcast and talks about how she is wanting to know more about this and there are significant developments and so forth.
Tulsi Gabbard is you're talking about, right?
This is Tulsi Gabbard. Again, this kind of thing doesn't happen. All right. And so then what next? Paulina Luna, the chair of the Secrets Task Force of the House Committee on Oversight, which is basically the House Secrets Task Force, that is getting huge news for progress it's making in getting the JFK documents, right? And working on the MLK documents. And of course, because it also has responsibility for getting the Epstein documents out, which is about as huge as it gets. I mean, this is galvanizing the attention of huge numbers of people in media. She has that on her plate. She assigned the UAP portfolio because of all this she was having to deal with to Representative Burleson, who is an excellent choice. He's moving forward on it. He's being very frank. He's giving statements in the public, going to do this, going to do that going forward. That's fine. But then she goes on Rogan and starts talking at length about this issue and trying to reveal some things she's heard and what she's heard in this, this briefing and that briefing. She has certain limitations, and then she just keeps going. And the next thing you know, she's talking about what she thinks she's been told about the nature of these beings, that they could easily be interdimensional. She tries to go into that. Now, in all respect to Representative Luna, she's not an astrophysicist. And she's trying to understand these things that she is hearing and put them into a context. So I'm not going to disregard the fact that she seems to lean toward interdimensionality. The phenomenon is extremely complex. The point is that she is saying this on Rogan. And guess what? It's generated an explosion of media coverage internationally and in the U.S. I am logging this in as fast as possible. I hope to have 20 or 30 or 40 articles on my print media archive at paradigmresearchgroup.org by late tonight. And you can go read them all. And this is like a 10-day stretch in which 3 very important people in the current administration, both on the White House side and the Congressional side, have been telling podcasters things that are spiking the media coverage. That doesn't just happen. It's not like, this ET thing is kind of hot right now. Let me see if I can get on a major podcast and throw it out. No. And then you have the now forgotten, but extremely important other podcasts. Again, podcasts are becoming literally the mechanisms by which a lot of things happen in this world. They are not trivial anymore. They are huge. They are the future of maybe journalism, public information, and everything else. 5 days before the inauguration, going back 200 days, just before he was to be inaugurated, the son of the president to be inaugurated has a podcast. His podcast is called Trigger. It's got plenty of followers. And he brings on Luis Elizondo and Ross Coulthard to talk about this issue. Seriously, 5 days before the inauguration. This is not an accident. And so what I believe we are seeing is, amidst everything else that's going on, God knows, is that the administration, meaning the president and many key people around him, are actually testing the waters. They are trying to read the room to see what the response would be to these kinds of statements coming from the administration. And guess what? It's all positive. If you read the articles, they're fine. If you look online, the members of this administration are being parodied to death, right? But not on this issue. And so what they're getting is this issue will play. And then finally, I'll mention this, and in a very nonpartisan way. This is a nonpartisan statement. As they become increasingly convinced this issue not only is safe and real, they are going to conclude, if they have not already, that of all the things that the current administration might do that would profoundly distract from the enormously difficult situation they are in with respect to the Epstein documents. And by them, I don't mean just them. There are a host of people and even organizations and even banks and so forth that are staring down a freight train coming at them, and they're stuck on the track. That's obvious. Everybody knows this. It's totally in the news. How it plays out, we don't know, but it looks as if there is no way to just resolve it. There's no way they can just do a couple of maneuvers and it's all gone. There are a few things they might do, but they would almost certainly make it worse. They're in a very difficult situation, pinned down. And so they're almost left with one alternative. And that is, if you can do something that is of enormous importance, you can distract. That's the word you hear. You can distract from this dilemma. You could certainly postpone it and buy time to do whatever. That's all you have left when you're in this kind of corner. And so it's not all the time. There's nothing unusual about it. We hear about these things. We always talk about distractions in terms of the current administration, but this is serious. This isn't just the administration. This is going to affect a huge number of people. It is going to dominate the news, Epstein. But if the president of the United States has been made comfortable about the fact that he can take action on this and it's going to go over very well with the American people, steps out in the White House and says, hey, I'm going to confirm what you've already know, that we have non-human tech, we have non-human bodies. I'm not sure where they're from, but they're not us. And I'm confirming that to you today. That is disclosure. And people say, well, that's just a one-off thing and people maybe believe it or don't believe it and it'll just blow over. No, it will not. Because if the president makes that confirmation announcement, other heads of state will follow very, very quickly. And so, boom, it is a worldwide reality. It will be the biggest event in human history. And if there's anything that could buy time for the administration as they stare down this really intense and almost completely negative problem of the Epstein files, this is it. And so I'm trying to put these things together and make a realistic assessment. And all I can say is that on paper, it looks exactly like that's what's going on. And there's no other explanation for why Gabbard and Vance and Luna are making these moves. Okay. And then of course his son, Don Jr., who had been supporting this issue for years. There's just no other explanation. It's not like they're just, dabbling in it because, let's talk about that or talk about this. No, that's the explanation I have. And that's what I'm asking people to focus on. And I'll be giving a lot of interviews soon about all of this going into September and beyond. I'm about to set out a major blast to all 300 podcasts that I've done. And so that's what I'm anticipating to look for your audience.
Okay. So you think that the Epstein issue that's coming out is such a dark spot on so many people that this topic, the UAP topic, will be sort of the thing that gets everyone focused away from that, which, I mean, this is the atomic bomb of news. that if a head of state did say, it would distract everyone. This would be the only thing that matters.
There's nothing
Right?
comparable. Nothing comparable.
Nothing comparable to this. This is so paradigm shifting, life altering information that everyone sort of suspects and is, the people that follow this are like annoyed that it's taken this long for there to be some sort of confirmation. What do you see or what have you heard as far as upcoming UAP congressional hearings? Because I'm hearing rumblings that there's going to be another one in September.
Look, Representative Burleson has made it clear he wants hearing. There have been a number of delays over the last couple of months. Yeah, there's been controversies about skiffs and nobody wanted to come and all of that. There is I've heard indirectly that all the stuff that's happening, which is just, again, think this is all happening in the context of very extraordinary stuff going on. It's got a lot of people concerned in a lot of ways. And all of that has kind of made the witnesses out there who might be able to go into a skiff or testify much more concerned. And so they've stepped back. Okay, so the witnesses kind of stepped back, including people that are known that we'd like to get into a skiff. I understand that. It's okay. But given the statements from Vance and Gabbard and now Luna, I think they're sending a message out there. We're serious about this. And so we may see that improve. But I know Burleson wants a hearing. He wants the best witnesses, and he's trying to find them. Now, and let me just say this. I have gone to tremendous lengths. I mean, now I've done as much as I could to inform the task force and all of the members of that subcommittee, as well as the Senate Intel Committee, about the importance of getting the nuclear weapon shutdown witnesses in front of a hearing. I believe they should be the next witnesses. There's 40 or 50 people up there have the witness statements and affidavits of these gentlemen. They have videos where they've been interviewed. Even videos of when some of them testified at my citizen hearing on disclosure. And I'm meeting with another staffer on Monday. So I'm doing everything. Why? Because look, while the issue is old, the events go back to 66, 67, the ones that they'll testify. There have been other events. Lord knows people could come forward on those. And the effort to get in front of a hearing and get in front of a committee really starts in 94. So it's about 32 years. And it's led by Bob Salas. Robert Hastings did the research, wrote the book. It's an old story, but it's about the most important piece of information that anybody could testify under oath to Congress. Why? Because this testimony is firsthand. They were there when the missiles were shut down. They were there when the security people told them what they saw, which means the security people up top were firsthand witnesses. There are a lot of them out there that have always been reluctant to come forward. That could change at any time, and you could have firsthand witnesses to the crowd. The effort by the DOD to push back this was laughable. They set up a story in the Wall Street Journal and took advantage of the Wall Street Journal and put out some of the most awful two articles I've ever heard, where they tried to somehow explain what happened 60 years ago as something as a testing of EMP. It's ridiculous. Nobody believed it. But that shows how seriously concerned the DOD is about these witnesses testifying. These men are in their 80s. They've been trying to get this truth on the record under oath for 30 years. You've got Captain Robert Salas, Captain David Schindele. You've got Lieutenant Robert Jacobs was testifying to another nuclear weapons tampering incident. It's on film, right? And then you've got Robert Jameson, who, he's up there in age. It may be tough for him to get to Washington. And there are others, I assure you. And if you want to know how many, go read UFOs and Nukes by Robert Hastings, which we gave a copy to Burleson, where he interviewed 200 plus people. Now, the other point of this is even more significant. Look, we know a lot of stuff about what happens in sightings, what ETs do. We know about contact and so forth. But there is nothing more important to the human condition, the political international situation right now that has happened regarding UAPs and or ET or non-human tech, than the shutdown of the nuclear missiles. The fact that it didn't happen a couple of years ago is irrelevant. They shut these missiles down in 66 and 67. They did some more shutdowns later. There's evidence for that. There's evidence for shutdowns in the Soviet Union around that time. And so We need to have that confirmed so that a whole lot of people can start asking, high-level people in the academic world, in the media world, in the political world, this has been confirmed under oath. It happened. Why? Why were these nukes shut down? That opens up a very important discussion. And so, with no disrespect to Mr. Grush or Elizondo or any of the other witnesses, Graver, that have testified, all very important. There are no more important witnesses that need to testify under oath than the SAC base officers, firsthand witness to the shutdown of our missiles, all of them while a craft and not some EMP device erected by the Department of Defense. Oh, Lord.
You're referring to the Wall Street Journal article.
Yeah, the Wall Street Journal article, which you can find the links to that on my site as well. It's one of the most grotesque, awful piece of journalism ever. I hope the two authors, Sheckman and Aruna Bishop, her name is tough.
I know Sheckman was one of the authors. I don't know the other one.
I hope that they simply did journalism. They got the information from insiders. They wrote it up and published it, and they were abused. And one day they will realize, man, that was wrong. So I hope that's the case. I actually interviewed with Mr. Sheckman for almost an hour. Let's just say that what I told him was not what turned up in that article. But then I'm not an insider, at the Department of Defense. So again, pushback. There's a lot of things going on. It's incredibly complicated. But the one thing that your viewers need to understand, in spite of everything that's going on, war, genocide, chaos, a political upheaval like we've never seen, in spite of all of that, the process, what I call the disclosure process, capital D process, leading towards allowing this president, to confirm the extraterrestrial presence or technologically advanced non-human presence has never slowed, never backed up. It is inching forward or moving forward in spite of it all. And that gives me high confidence that we're going to get this done soon.
Steve, really, I want to thank you so much for coming on and updating the audience about where we are with the UAPDA and the upcoming congressional hearings. It does seem like some of these podcasts that Tulsi Gabbard did and Representative Luna and what J.D. Vance said, these are top of the food chain individuals saying wild things about the UFO phenomenon and about disclosure. And they're being very careful. They can't just come out and say whatever it is they know. So it does seem like we're being primed. And I just want to thank you for coming on and showing us, putting a light on these things that a lot of people aren't aware of. So thank you.
Yeah, I look forward. I'll get back with you. I think there's going to be a hearing. If there is, I will be there. Let's do a show after that.
Absolutely.
September could be quite a month. And the weather will be better. So let's see. Let's cross our fingers and see if we can get something profound happening next.
Awesome. Real quick, tell everybody how they can find you, your website, and we'll wrap it up.
ParadigmResearchGroup.org is my nonprofit 501c3 organization, welcoming funding. I want to do another X conference. So if I can get about 20,000 together, I will set the date and move to have the first X conference in Washington, D.C. at the National Press Club since 2010. Hollywood Disclosure Alliance is making progress. Check it out. It's an unusual organization, which I co-founded with a LA publicist, Dan Harari. It's interesting. And you're seeing, it's another look at this. And of course, there are other organizations like the New Paradigm Institute, Soul Foundation, UAP Disclosure Fund. All of these are advancing forward as we try to deal with the complexities of the world right now. But the strength of the movement, I assure you, is continuing to grow. We are not going backwards. And so optimism should be high, but don't get carried away. Let's see what happens.
Steve, thank you so much. We'll catch you right after those hearings and give us another update. Thanks, everybody.